You know, a lot of times when I do these ADA updates on these charts, I kind of wait until 8 p.m. when we get the daily close, the daily candle closing, because a lot of times I've kind of noticed over the years, there can be a little shift of momentum in one way or the other. And I thought today would be fun because there are so many different things on the ADA charts that I'm watching, and it's kind of just like stagnant right now at around 52 cents, and had a bit of a fake out a little bit earlier. But I thought it'd be cool prior to, and the daily candle's closing in just over 2 hours, just to put this data out there, because this is what I'm watching tonight as we go into the new daily candle opening. And this is what I want to talk about. So first things first, on the Cardano daily chart, the setup is there. This is, and everyone, this is not financial advice. This is my opinion. I'm a content creator tracking the data with you. I'm in this crypto game with you. If you're looking for a financial advisor, find one online or something. But what I will say is that data continues to be compelling. Look at this green box that we're in, this 63-day window going into a hard fork event for Cardano, the Vasil hard fork here. And by the way, the height of the green box is just randomly placed, has nothing to do with price. But we're tracking this because we know in previous hard forks, Cardano has, in the 63-day window, has seen a nice run up. So Cardano is positioned very well here. And the reason I say this is not only just because there's the hard fork event, and if this happens again, Cardano's ready to run to the upside. But when we start zooming out on the state of all markets, there's beginning to be the sentiment across all markets, traditional markets included, and here's S&P 500 index, that there's going to be some type of relief rally, right? In my mind, I kind of, right now, I just can't say I do not think the bottom is in. I just don't at this point. And that's because of what we're seeing in traditional markets. I think we need some more time. However, I can totally see a relief rally of sorts. And the S&P 500 index gives nice kind of picture of that, right, happening. The question is how, if there is a relief rally, how long will that last? And then how much deeper will the next correction go to kind of finalize the formation of this bear market across all markets? Now, one thing I've noted on this chart is this, and this is where it gets good for ADA, at least in the short to midterm if there is a rally. It's this. If we look at this March box, right, and this was kind of, let me just give you the dates here. I have it as March 16th to this swing high March 29th. Oftentimes we're kind of like, hey, we have to pay attention to Bitcoin to watch altcoins, right? And it's true in a sense, but to watch Bitcoin, we have to pay attention to traditional markets because this is where the movements are stemming from. So this March 16th and March 29th data on the Bitcoin chart, right here, is an uptrend. But just the same, March 16th, right here on the ADA chart, let me get the brush, March 16th on the ADA chart to March 29th is the chart. Now, one thing I want to note is this, and let's do this real quick. Let's measure March. I'm already forgetting the dates. I think it's, what is it? March 16th is to the 29th. Let's just take it March 16th. 55% gains on ADA. Now, March 16th, let me zoom in on Bitcoin to March 29th. March 16th to March 29th, 23% gains. This is what I'm talking about. Now, Bitcoin followed S&P 500 index. We can say ADA followed Bitcoin or ADA followed the S&P 500 index. No matter what we say, the S&P 500 index is the foundational data point here, obviously. What's notable is that in that little uptrend, Cardano outperformed Bitcoin. And this is a story. This is just a perfect illustration of what I think is going to continue playing out in these markets. Now, the downside to that is it's not a perfect scenario, because just the same as ADA, let's go to an ADA chart, outperforms Bitcoin oftentimes in uptrends, it outperforms in downtrends, right? So it's way more volatile in these downtrends and in these longer term corrections and bear markets. So you have to take that data for what it's worth and saying, okay, well, and at this point, I really need to time the bottom, right? If you're trading, or even on the macro, timing the bottom could be beneficial. And that's my kind of approach. I think timing the bottom in terms of all of this data for ADA is extremely beneficial for accumulation, because I truly do think ADA will outperform, whether the bottom is here going into the next bull run or whether the bottom is all the way over here, right? In January 2023 at 27 cents, and then boom, next bull run. Cardano, in my view, is going to overperform. It's going to outperform Bitcoin and a bunch of other altcoins even, just because of what is happening on the blockchain, on Cardano. So that's that. I really wanted to kind of go through that. And by the way, you can see on this chart, this back here is January 11th to the 17th. Back here is December 21st to the 27th. So here are these just little swing highs that S&P 500 index also gave us. So here's the same data points on the S&P chart, 21st to the 27th of December, January 11th to the 14th, and then here's the one we just looked at, March 16th to the 29th. So S&P 500 index, traditional equity markets, they are the kind of the sails that steer the crypto markets, right? And so we have to keep an eye on those things. But long story short, that data is extremely important to what we're talking about over here on the daily chart, because if traditional markets and Bitcoin, whatever you want to call it, gets this rally, a relief rally, and say it starts right now, right? I don't want to say it's going to start right now, but say it does. Maybe it's a week from now, whatever. If it happens, I see ADA outperforming Bitcoin. And it's going to be very interesting to track that and to see if this theory holds consistent and true, because I think it kind of has thus far in terms of these swing highs, and it's going to be way more interesting, doubly interesting, the fact that we have the Vasil hard fork on this chart, and then what we've seen with previous hard forks on Cardano and how ADA has performed in these markets going into a hard fork event. So the timing, if it happens soon, a relief rally, if it happens at all, could be perfect for ADA right now. And we could see an environment where it's starting to test the key moving averages. 80 cents is the 50-day moving average, the 200-day moving average above $1, right around $1.15 or so. So now let's start digging into the charts, because this is what I'm watching. This is how I kind of open the intro, talking about the new daily candle close or opening. And this is a 6-hour chart, but we kind of are getting a sense of the movement of ADA right now. And this is what I'm going to be watching literally just tonight, putting everything else we just talked about aside. And I want to start from a clip from May 10th. This was 13 days ago. If Cardano does hit the 50-cent target, will there be support there, right? Will there be some type of structure form similar to how we saw 80 cents and Cardano? So there it is, everybody. Again, we've been tracking 50-cent target for ADA all year long, and now we've reached the 50-cent target. So to answer the question from 13 days ago, what's going to happen at the 50-cent range? Is there going to be structure like we were kind of anticipating? What would that structure look like? Well, here it is, everybody. And it just couldn't look any more symmetrical and just so commonplace for a cryptocurrency on the charts to hit a target, kind of fall briefly below it on a 6-hour chart, and just start grappling with that entire target area, in this case 50 cents. And in this case 50 cents has acted as really a lower trend line of really now a couple different, depending how you want to chart it, a couple different patterns. And this is why I'm extremely intrigued to see what happens next, even in the short term with ADA on these charts, because we've been tracking a bunch of different things. We've been tracking an inverse head and shoulders right here with a falling neckline, right? 80-cent target to the upside. I drew that line a little too strong, but 80-cent target to the upside. We've been tracking a head and shoulders right here. Boom, with a neckline right there around 50 cents. And now if we're just tracking this, we even have just this upper trend line now involved with this story. We can call it a descending triangle. If you want to chart these wicks right here, you can call it, if you really want to, a symmetrical triangle. We literally almost have every standard pattern in play. And listen, people often say they're just lines on the charts. They are just lines, but they're patterns, and the patterns have a specific purpose, and that is showing and illustrating structure, right? Consolidation, because that's what we're waiting for, is just a brief pause of volatile price movement so that it can consolidate. And then we wait for the breakout. We wait for the confirmations. And then we start telling the story of different things happening. In this case, we have this upper trend line that Cardano on the short term has kind of broken out of. And then right now in the 6 hour revisiting for kind of a short-term throwback. So will be interesting to see how markets close today. And this is why I'm doing this video specifically a little earlier. And it'd be very interesting to see if there's any support here at this general apex, whether you want to call it a descending triangle or a symmetrical triangle. Either way, the target breakout is extremely similar, kind of in the 70-cent range to the upside, if there's a bounce off of this right here, this apex. So long story short, everybody, again, a lot of this is going to kind of depend on what traditional markets are doing. What's good is if we just take a quick glance, S&P 500 index up almost 2% today. You have Dow Jones up almost 2% today. So it's kind of like, all right, nice little move to the upside. Maybe that can extend into tonight for ADA and crypto markets in general. But then it's again, well, is this the beginning of something special, right? On these traditional markets, is there going to be some movement to the upside that goes past just another lower high? And that's what we have to watch, because if it doesn't, and if markets open red tomorrow, guess what? Most likely ADA will fail at this entire area. And that's why on the short term, it's right now, everybody, it's very difficult to just identify how to handle these markets. And I'm seeing it all across the board on Twitter. It seems like everyone is a little confused, even more than normal, right? And these are confusing markets. Because I think a lot of people are starting to think there's going to be a relief rally, and it's kind of like, how do you play that? And I'm asking myself the same question. If I don't have a lot of confidence, right? Say Cardano, for instance, does make a move to, the 80-cent range, but I don't have confidence that this is truly the entry of a macro bull run. Am I gonna trade it at all here, right? And I think about things like that. I really do. I have my crypto IRA with I Trust Capital, and it's just, you can, those are tax-free trades in there. So you could accumulate if you play it right, but it's also extremely risky to do things like that, especially for someone like me that's just kind of a macro accumulator. I'm not really looking to trade often, but in these environments, there could be some opportunities, mind you, extremely risky ones. So be careful out there. And long story short, everybody, take this data for what it's worth, right? Take it for what it's worth. Zoom out on the charts. Truly make your own financial decisions. Don't listen to YouTubers and people online, right? Nobody knows, and everybody's trying to figure this out themselves. I just know the data on these charts has helped me in terms of just providing a roadmap to be prepared to kind of get into these markets little by little. You don't always get it right, but little by little accumulate where I'm comfortable, and knowing the downside risk, knowing the upside potential, bringing it all together and just being comfortable with my position. So this is it for ADA today. This is what I'll be watching really on the 6 hour. What happens here at this area of support for Cardano, really down to 50 cents. So it's 52.5 cents right now. What happens down to 50 cents? Does ADA kind of break below this area, and we're going to start putting in a higher low from the capitulation swing low, right? We're going to have to start testing the 40 cents again. I'm just prepared for it all, everybody. I'm just tracking it with you. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you're accumulating ADA, I would love to have you delegate your ADA to a CCV pool. It's been fun growing these pools, and as we go into this accumulation era, it'll be fun to continue growing these pools with you all, and just very simply put, taking part in the Cardano consensus protocol. So thanks again for watching, everybody. Hit the subscribe and like on your way out. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.